Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining today's Strive webinar, The Future of Health Exploring AI in Wellness. And today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, wearable devices, health apps, and the future of wellness, but not in a complicated or overly technical way. And this is not a presentation about becoming an AI expert. It's not about replacing doctors, therapists, dietitians, pharmacists, or human judgment. It really is about understanding where health technology is going and how it may start to show up in your everyday life. Some of these tools are already here. Some may become more common over the next 5 to 10 years, and then some are those bigger, longer term ideas that may shape the next 50 years of health. So as we go through this, I want you to think about one question. How can technology help us understand our bodies better without making health feel more overwhelming? Because there's a lot in it in health. And by the end, the goal is going to be simple. You should be able to recognize when an AI health tool may be helpful, when it may be overhyped, and when it may be crossing a line. So before we look into the future, we're going to get started with an important disclaimer. I do want to know, again, disclaimer, this presentation is for general education only. AI tools can be helpful. They can explain information, summarize data, help organize questions, and support healthy habits, but they should not replace medical care. That distinction is really important. If you are having symptoms, if you have a medical condition, if you are taking medication, if you have mental health concerns, or if something feels urgent or unusual, that belongs with a qualified healthcare professional. A good way to think about AI is this. It can help you prepare, organize, and reflect. It can help you become a better advocate for yourself, but it should not be the final decision maker for diagnosis, treatment, medication changes, or urgent care decisions. So throughout this presentation, we'll talk about both sides. We'll look at the exciting possibilities, but we'll also talk about the guardrails that keep those tools in the right lane. So now let's start with how health information used to work. So here's the promise again for today. Most of us, the important question is not, can I explain machine learning? The better question is, can I tell when a tool is useful, when it's just marketing, and when I should stop and ask a professional? This is the skill we are going to build today. AI in wellness can show up in very simple ways. It might help explain a confusing lab result. It might summarize a long article. It might help you prepare questions before a doctor visit. It might notice that your sleep, stress, or recovery has changed. But the same technology can also overreach. It can sound confident when it does not have enough information. It can give advice that sounds personalized, but it actually is based on limited data. It can make people anxious by turning those normal body changes into alerts. So today is really about becoming a smarter health consumer. And we're going to look at what is already real, again, what is coming next, and how to keep humans at the center of health. So for most modern healthcare, health information came in snapshots. You had an annual physical. You got lab work. You checked your blood pressure at the doctor's office. You made an appointment when something felt wrong. Maybe you had a test, got a result, and then waited until the next appointment. Those snapshots are still very important. We still need preventative visits, lab work, screenings, and professional care. But snapshots do not always capture what is happening in daily life. They may not show that your sleep has been off for 3 weeks. They may not show that stress has increased, that energy is lower, that your workouts feel harder, or that your eating patterns change during a busy season. A person might say, I just don't feel like myself, but it can be hard to remember exactly when that started or what else was happening at the same time. And this is part of why health technology is changing. It is starting to fill in a space between those snapshots. And today, health information is starting to show up all day long. Your phone may count steps, a smartwatch may estimate sleep or heart rate, a ring may notice temperature changes, a food app may track meals, a glucose monitor may show how meals, movement, stress, or sleep affect your blood sugar. Some people track mood, hydration, symptoms, workouts, recovery, or medication routines. And this can be empowering because it gives people more visibility. You may start noticing patterns that were easy to miss before. Maybe maybe you sleep worse after eating a late night meal. Maybe your resting heart rate changes when you're stressed. Maybe your energy improves when you walk after lunch. But on the flip side, continuous data can also be overwhelming. More information does not automatically mean more clarity. Sometimes it just means more numbers. And this is where AI becomes interesting. The best use of AI may not be collecting more data. It may be helping us understand which signals matter, which ones do not, and what realistic next steps make sense. So let's pause and think about what people are actually tracking today. So we're going to start with a quick poll. Think about the health data you pay attention to most often. It may come from a smartwatch, phone app, food tracker, blood pressure cuff, glucose monitor, fitness app, or something you simply notice about yourself during the day. Choose the option that best fits. Write in the Q&A your answer, and I'll give everyone a few seconds. So it's either 1, steps, 2, sleep, 3, heart rate, 4, food or water, 5, mood or stress, or 6, nothing yet. What I want to point out is that there is no perfect answer here. Some people love tracking. Some people find it stressful. Some people track steps, but they ignore sleep. And some people track nothing and still have very healthy habits. The goal is to not track everything. In fact, tracking everything can backfire if it makes wellness feel like a full-time job. The goal is to understand what is useful. Good health technology should help people make better decisions, not make them feel like they are failing because they missed a metric. So this is the big picture of where technology is moving. In terms of health, at first, most tools were about tracking. How many steps did I take? How many hours did I sleep? How many calories did I log? How many workouts did I complete? Then we started moving towards understanding, not just how many steps, but what does my movement pattern say about my day? Not just how many hours of sleep, but do I feel rested? Is this normal for me? The next stage is prediction. And if this pattern continues, what might happen? Am I trending towards burnout? Am I under recovered? Am I getting less activity than usual? And the bigger long-term goal is prevention. Can we notice meaningful changes earlier? Can we support people before they feel completely off track? And can we make care more proactive instead of waiting until something becomes a bigger issue? And that does not mean AI will perfectly predict the future. It means the direction of health is moving from reactive to proactive. And one reason AI can feel confusing is that we use one word for many different things. In wellness, AI has a lot of jobs. Sometimes it's a pattern spotter. It looks across information and notices trends and may be easy for a person to miss. Sometimes it's a translator. It takes that complicated health information and jargon like lab values, medical instructions, and explains them in more everyday language. Sometimes it acts like a coach. It may suggest small habit changes or help someone stay consistent. Sometimes it's a summarizer. It can take a long article, a visit note, or a list of symptoms and organize the main points. And sometimes it is a predictor. It may estimate what could happen if a pattern continues. And sometimes it's an assistant. It helps with planning, reminders, questions, or decision support. So instead of asking, is AI good or bad? A better question is, what job is this AI doing? And is it safe and appropriate for that job? A water reminder and a medical diagnosis are not the same thing. So that brings us to one of the most important questions is risk level. So not all AI tools carry that same level of risk. On one end, you have low stakes tool. A reminder to stretch, breathe, drink water, or take a walk is usually pretty low risk for most people. Then you have tools that interpret trends like sleep scores, recovery scores, or stress estimates. And these can be helpful, but they are not perfect. They should usually be treated as clues and not absolute truth. Then you move into recommendations. A tool might suggest a workout, a meal idea, or stress management strategy. That can be useful, but it depends on the person and the situation. Higher up the spectrum, you get into symptom advice, diagnosis, treatment decisions, medication decisions, or disease management. That is where we need much more caution. The more a tool influences a medical decision, the more we need evidence, privacy protections, clinical oversight, and professional judgment. So again, throughout this presentation, keep this spectrum in mind. The same person may be comfortable using AI for meal planning, but not for medical advice, and that's completely reasonable. I'll now pass this on to Alexis, who is going to tell us where AI is already showing up in healthcare.
Thanks, Lexi. AI is not just something that may happen in the future. It is already showing up in healthcare, often quietly and behind the scenes. One practical example is to think of clinical documentation. Think about your last doctor visit. You may have noticed your provider typing, clicking through records, reviewing notes, or trying to document everything while also listening to you. Some AI tools are being developed to help with that burden. They may also assist with drafting visit notes, summarizing conversations, preparing documentation, or organizing information for review. The important part is that these tools are not meant to replace the clinician. They are meant to support the workflow around the visit. The best version of this feature is not a doctor who pays less attention. It's actually the opposite. If documentation becomes easier, the hope is that the clinicians can spend more time focused on the person in front of them. But even here, human review matters. AI-generated notes still need to be checked for accuracy. A summary is only useful if it reflects what was actually discussed. So let's move on to the next 5 years and the idea of the signal era. This is where the future becomes more interesting than simply asking, what new device should I buy? Many devices already exist. There's watches, rings, patches, smart scales, glucose monitors, the list goes on and on. The bigger future is not the device itself. The future is in the signal. A signal is the information the device or tool is trying to detect. Some signals are physical, like heart rate, breathing, movement, body temperature, or sleep timing. Some are chemical, things like glucose, sweat-based markers that researchers are studying. There's some that are environmental, like air quality, light exposure, noise, room temperature, or movement in the home. And then there are some that are behavioral, like meals, stress, medication timing, schedule, symptoms, or habits. The exciting possibility is that AI may help connect these signals. It may notice patterns that would be hard to see manually. But here's the caution. A signal is not automatically meaningful just because it is measurable. We need to ask whether the signal is accurate, validated, useful, and interpreted in the right context. One way to think about signals is the body's version of a check engine light. The body's check engine light is one of the most useful metaphors for where wellness technology may be heading. When a car's check engine light comes on, it doesn't tell you the full problem. It doesn't say, it does not repair the car. It simply says something may need your attention. That is how the best health tools should work. They should not create panic. They should not diagnose you based on one night's sleep. They should not make big claims from one data point, but they may help you notice when something is different from your normal. For example, maybe your sleep has dropped, your resting heart rate is higher than normal, your activity is lower, and you feel more tired than usual. Separately, each of these might not mean much. Together, they may suggest your body is under strain. A helpful tool might say, consider rest today, hydrate, and pay attention to how you feel. A responsible tool would also say something like, if you have a concerning symptoms, please contact a healthcare professional. That is the line. We want to detect patterns, not diagnose. So let's make that more concrete with a future morning example. Imagine a normal Monday morning in 2031, 5 years from now. Not a science fiction morning, no robot butler, no futuristic pod, just a regular morning. You wake up, you might have work going on, a day full of meetings, taking care of the kids, your pets, running errands, or a full inbox. Your wearable device or app notices a few things. You slept less than usual, your resting heart rate is slightly elevated, your activity yesterday was lower than normal, and your calendar is packed. A less helpful version of technology might flood you with alerts and make you anxious before your day even starts because of everything going on. But a better version would be a calm and practical message. It might say, you may be under recovered today. Consider a lighter workout, extra hydration, and an earlier bedtime. That is the kind of support that could actually help people. It doesn't shame you, it doesn't scare you, and it doesn't pretend to diagnose you. It simply helps you adjust your day. The future we should want is not more noise. It is better guidance at the right time. But we also need to know when a recommendation crosses the line. So let's check this with a quick, helpful, or too far check. If an AI tool suggests a short walk after a stressful day, that's usually helpful. It's low risk, practical, and most people can decide whether it fits their situation. If AI helps you summarize questions for your doctor, that's also helpful. It doesn't replace the doctor, it's just helping you prepare for their conversation. But if AI tells you to stop taking medication, that's too far. That is a medical decision and should be discussed with your physician. If AI says you do not need a doctor when you have concerning symptoms, that's also too far. If AI promises that one supplement, one meal plan, or one routine will fix everything, that's another warning sign. This is one of the biggest skills we will need as AI becomes more common, knowing the difference between support and substitution. Support helps you make better decisions. Substitution tries to make the decision for you. Now let's pause on a scenario that might seem obvious at first, but it gets at one of the most important skills we need in the future of health. Imagine someone is using a wellness app. Maybe it tracks sleep, stress, heart rate, or recovery. The app notices that they had a poor night of sleep and gives them a recommendation. At first, that may feel helpful. We're already using apps. We already used to apps saying things like, try going to bed earlier, or consider a lighter workout today. But then the recommendation crosses the line. It moves from general wellness support into medical advice. A wellness tool can suggest rest. It can suggest hydration. It can remind you to track your symptoms, and it can help you write down questions for your doctor. But it should not tell you to stop a medication, skip a prescribed treatment, ignore symptoms, or replace medical care with supplements. This is where AI can be tricky because it may sound calm, polished, and confident, but confidence is not the same as credibility. A safer version would say, you slept poorly last night. Consider tracking how you feel today. If you have medication questions, contact your doctor or pharmacist. That is the line that we want. Support, not substitution. So now if we look ahead 10 years, one of the biggest shifts may be from disconnected apps to personal health agents. Right now, many people have health information scattered everywhere. Sleep might be in one app, workouts in another, food somewhere else. stress or mood in a journal, doctor information on a portal, or maybe even a few. A personal health agent is the idea that one assistant could help connect those patterns. It might notice that you sleep worse after late caffeine. It might notice you skip meals on heavy meeting days, or that you are more consistent with movement when you schedule it in the morning. It might also help you plan a lighter workout after a poor recovery. That could make wellness feel more personal and realistic, but it also raises an important question. How much do you want one tool to know about you? The more connected the assistant becomes, the more privacy, transparency, and control matters. A useful health assistant should help you, not quietly collect more information than you understand. So personalized recommendations can feel more trustworthy because they sound like they are made just for you. But personalized doesn't automatically mean correct. A tool may know your score, but not your full medical history. It might know your steps, but not your pain level. It may know your food log, but not your relationship with food. It may know your heart rate trend, but not your symptoms, medications, stress, family history, or lab results. So when a tool says something is personalized, the next question should be personalized on what? What data is it using? What is it assuming? What does it not know? The last question is especially important. AI tools can be very good at working with the information they have, but they may not always recognize the importance of the information they do not. So personalized advice can be useful, but it should still be sense checked. It should still fit your body, your goals, your situation, and your healthcare guidance. Nutrition is one of the areas where AI wellness could become very personal. For a long time, nutrition advice had been broad. Eat more fruits and vegetables, get enough protein, choose fiber-rich foods, drink water, limit excess added sugar and sodium. Those basic skills still matter, but AI may help people understand more individual patterns. For example, some people may notice that late meals affect sleep. Others may notice that walking after dinner helps with energy. Some may learn that breakfast with protein keeps them fuller longer. Others may notice Others may use glucose data to understand how meals, stress, sleep, and movement affect their blood sugar. That can be helpful if it leads to practical and balanced choices. But there is also a risk. Personalized nutrition can become overly complicated. People may start feeling like every food choice needs a data report. The goal should not be food fear. The goal should be better awareness. The best nutrition AI should make The best nutrition AI should make healthy eating easier, not make people anxious every time they look at a plate. The grocery store of the future may not look widely futuristic. It may simply be a little easier to make decisions. If you think about standing in an aisle and comparing two products, one says high protein, one says natural. One says zero sugar, one has a long ingredient list. One is cheaper, one has more fiber, and one has more sodium. That can be confusing, especially when packaging is designed to sell. AI could help by translating the label into your actual goal. Maybe you're trying to choose a higher fiber breakfast. Maybe you're watching sodium or need something budget friendly for the family. Maybe you want a balanced lunch that will help keep you full. A helpful AI tool would not say, this food is good and that food is bad. It would say, based on your goal, here are the trade offs. That is a much healthier way to use AI with food, not judgment, just clarity. And now I'm going to pass it off to Renee.
Thank you, Alexis. Mental health is one of the most promising areas of AI, but also one of the areas where we need to be the most careful. AI may be helpful for journaling prompts, breathing exercises, reflection, mood tracking, or preparing for therapy. It may help people put words to what they're feeling. It may help someone notice patterns like feeling more anxious after poor sleep or more irritable during high stress weeks. For some people, that kind of support can be useful, especially between appointments or during a stressful day. But support is not the same as replacement. Mental health involves safety, nuance, relationship, and professional judgment. A chatbot does not know everything about a person's life. It may miss tone, risk, context, or urgency. So the best use of AI in mental wellness is a tool around care, not a substitute for care. If someone is struggling in the future, we should want what is more connection, not less. AI should help people reach support, not become their only support. Now we're entering the bigger future. One of the most interesting long-term ideas is the digital twin. A digital twin is a virtual model that represents something in the real world. In health, the idea is that one day we may be able to model parts of a person's biology, behavior, or health patterns. That could allow care teams to explore the what if questions before trying something in real life. What if sleep improves? What if activity changes? What if recovery improves? What if the risk factor changes over time? This is still early, and it's important not to overpromise. Human health is incredibly complex. A model is not the same as a person, but the idea is powerful. Instead of relying on trial and error, future healthcare may be able to better use simulations to guide decisions. The key will be making sure those models are accurate, ethical, secure, and used by qualified professionals. When we talk about AI in health, many people think about apps, chatbots, or wearables. But one of the biggest impacts may happen behind the scenes in research and discovery. AI might help scientists study proteins, understand disease pathways, search for possible drug targets, and model how different molecules interact. That could help researchers move faster in areas that traditionally have taken a very long time. This does not mean new treatments will appear overnight. Healthcare research still requires testing, safety review, clinical trials, regulation, and time. AI does not remove the need for evidence, but it may speed up parts of the discovery process. It may help scientists explore more possibilities, narrow down promising directions, and better understand complex biology. So the future of AI in health is not only about what happens on your phone. It may also help shape the treatments, tools, prevention strategies that exist for decades from now. So what's really important is when people talk about the future of health, they often talk about longevity. But the more meaningful goal is health span. Lifespan is how long we live. Health span is how many of those years we live with function, independence, energy, connection, and quality of life. That distinction really matters. Most people do not just want more years, they want more good years. More years being able to move, think clearly, enjoy relationships, travel, cook, garden, whatever they choose to do with their lives that gives it meaning. AI may eventually help identify risk earlier, personalize prevention, match treatments more effectively, and support healthier aging. But the foundation will probably still sound familiar. Movement, sleep, nutrition, relationships, purpose, preventative care, and access to healthcare. That is an important point. The future may become very advanced, but the basics will not disappear. Technology should support the basics, not distract from them. This is where we bring the excitement back down to earth. AI in health has real promise, but it also has real risks. One risk is privacy. Health data is sensitive. People may not always realize what an app collects, how long it stores that information, who can access it, or whether it can be shared. Another risk is bias. If a tool is trained on incomplete or unrepresentative data, it may work better for some groups than others. Another risk is overconfidence. AI can sound polished and certain, even when the answer is incomplete or wrong. There is also the risk of anxiety. If people are constantly alerted about normal body changes, they may start feeling like every number is a problem. And then finally, there's access. If the best tools are expensive, AI could widen health gaps instead of closing them. So the question is not just what can AI do? The better question is, how can we make sure it helps people safely, fairly, and with transparency? Think of this as a quick gut check for many AI wellness tools. A green flag explains its limits. It does not pretend to know everything. It encourages professional care when appropriate. It uses credible information, protects privacy, and helps you take realistic action. A yellow flag tool may not be clearly unsafe, but it deserves caution. Maybe it uses vague phrases like science-backed without explaining what that means. Maybe the privacy policy is hard to understand. Or it just keeps pushing an expensive upgrade. A red flag tool crosses a line. It diagnoses you, it tells you to stop a medication, it discourages medical care, it promises guaranteed results. It can also create fear. You do not need to be a technology expert to use this filter. Just ask, does this tool support my health, or is it trying to replace judgment that belongs with me and my care team? And before we wrap up, we'll do one quick final poll. If you'll go ahead and put that information in the Q&A. But thinking about what you want actually AI could help you with most in your life. Not what sounds the most futuristic or what sounds most impressive, but what would make your real life easier? Would it be sleep, stress, nutrition, fitness, understanding health information, or staying consistent? Really, the whole point of this is AI and wellness is the best tools should make health feel more easy and not complicated. They should help people move from information to action. For many people, the most useful AI tools may not be the most advanced ones. It may simply be the ones that helps them ask better questions, build a better routine, or notice a pattern sooner. The future of AI will likely include will likely include more AI, more sensors, more data, more personalization. But the best future is not less human. It's more personal because it helps us understand our own patterns. It's more proactive because it helps us notice changes earlier, and it's more supported because it can help us ask better questions and make more informed choices. AI should not become the center of wellness. The person should always stay at the center. That means your goals, your context, your care team, your choices, and your life still matter most. So as these tools become more common, the goal is not to outsource your health. The goal is to use technology wisely, question when it's needed, and keep human judgment involved. If you remember one phrase for today, let it be this: AI should support wellness, not replace care. So on behalf of Lexi, Alexis, and myself, we'd like to thank you for joining today's Strive webinar. We hope this helped make AI and wellness feel more understandable, practical, and balanced. There's a lot of excitement around this topic, and there should be, but there should also be caution, curiosity, and common sense. So as you start to see more AI tools in the health and wellness realm, remember to ask, what is this tool actually doing? What data is it using? What does it not know? Is this low stakes support, or is it crossing into medical decision making? And most importantly, remember that technology is only one part of health. Human care, relationships, daily habits, and professional guidance still matter. We hope to see you next month for vitamins, supplements, and super greens. What's it worth it? And we thank you again for being here today, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.